I will give a brief little report, and then we'll open it up to any questions if you still have questions. I have known about this project for about 2 months approximately, when I was asked to go to a meeting to talk to the people what was going on. I was asked to held in confidentiality. I did not tell this board for 2 meetings. I didn't tell the board individually here within the last month what was going on. One of the things that came up, I believe, was at the city council meeting was about the options of the city. I knew that the options were with the city of Durham, because I asked the person involved, and that's why I knew that the options were with the city, not where the company. The size of the area seems to be over exaggerated. From what I read in the paper saying over 4 square miles. It's just over approximately 2.5 square miles area, not 4 square miles. But I got outlining maps, people want to look at it. There is property to the east of Brown Road that is in the option agreement, because that property was put in when Irish Brothers did the original option for the property on Bennington Road, and that was all together. Both properties they had was put together on an option. So that's why there's property on the east side of Brown Road, because the options at the time when Irish signed up was for both properties. At the meeting which some of you were at Sheridan's office, originally we were told that meeting was going to be more specific. They were going to tell you what it was. Some of us up on the front, we were sitting there, you saw us, were very upset that you weren't told what the project was, because that wasn't our understanding of what was going to happen in that. But we don't control that. I do have some copies. There's 15 copies here if I need to make some more. These are talking points that from that night, what was talked about, and some of the questions they try to answer. I don't know if they truly answer any of the questions that you had that night, but here's 5 pages of stuff you could have tonight, and if you said 15 copies and you need more, I'll make some more. The project is a $4 to $5 billion project. It's needing approximately 800 to 1,000 contiguous acres. The plant size is 3,900 feet by 6,200 feet. Wow. So it's 3/4 of a mile wide by a little over a mile long. At the time it is complete, they are looking at 800 full-time jobs between $25 to $30 an hour jobs. One of the reasons for the area where they asked for was started between Flint and Lansing, large areas, tracts of land available, highway access, railroad access, proximity to high voltage power lines, and another one is access to the skilled workforce. As of right now, with property that is under option, it does not fit the area that what they want. So just to say is, I do know that since that meeting there has been some other options signed by people. The permit process and studies, it probably would take over a year to do a permit if they get their footprint in hand. It would take over a year for permitting approximately time. That's what plant in Ohio took. It took over a year to get permits. now the options with the city, so land would go into the city. City would have to have their own meetings about zoning and about the planning part of the project. It's, the surrounding neighbors, some of you here are not within that footprint, probably have not gotten any letters or gotten them talked to, because they're not gonna talk to you until they have a footprint. There's no need to talk to the outside people until they have a footprint and know that's what they're gonna do. I mean, and they told us, the ones on the outside of the footprint, they'll be willing to talk to you about buying the property too. That's what we were told. And just want to remind you that we have agreements with the city of Durant for our residents who are close for water and sewer. And we have quite a few who are on water and or sewer right now. So we do have a working relationship with the city on that part. There cannot be no eminent domain. The eminent domain is only for public use, not private. This is a private enterprise. Eminent domain cannot be used. There was some worry about that. That's not allowed. This project, if it was to go through, it would change Vernon Township and it would change the city of Durant. There's no doubt about that. What would happen? At this time, I'll open it up to any questions that the board had any questions before I open it. Any comments on the board? If not, I'll open up the questions. Would you please state your name when you recognize?
Dennis Demeter, I live off the corner of Brown and Goodall Road. Do we know the entity that's interested in all this property, the name of the company, what kind of operation it's gonna be?
Thank you. Confidentiality, I do know what it is, I do know the company, so I'm now at
Can you tell us what kind of operation is it? A steel processing plant, a steel smelting plant?
No, I cannot tell you what. I mean, that's, you know, we're elected to, and they come to us, and or you come to us, and you want something held in confidentiality, that's what we're doing. That's why you elected us to do this. I mean,
But we pay the taxes here, which pay you.
exactly, but there's a reason for a board up here. A board is to oversee what's going on, and we do that. We are also held by, standards to say, or people come to us and say, it's just like somebody wants to buy your house, but you don't want to put it out there to two different people. I mean, you're not going to tell this person what you're given versus this. I mean, we are held to a level. I mean, if that's what you're here to tell me you want to know what the is, company, I cannot tell you.
I'm just saying, I'm 4637 South Durand Road, right up there, 200 yards off of it, and I want smokestacks over my house.
Me too.
We don't want
I
no
cannot
roads
tell
either.
you what, I really can't. I did, the project, he told us it was industrial, I believe, that night.
So it is industrial.
My name is Nancy Demeter. I live with Dennis. Basically, one of the houses on the gravel pit lake in the corner of Brown and Goodall Road. Has anybody been able to see the engineering design, especially relating to number one, how much water demand they have? Number two, what impact for Goodall, Brown Road, for traffic? Are you able to say, based on what you know, what's the possibility of total re-engineering design for Brown Road and Goodall Road?
Right now is, there will have to be a water study done after the decision is made to go forward, if they decide to go forward. Because under the one of the assessments is they have to have a water study done before they can do anything else. That's why.
And about the road,
Road,
Traffic-wise?
road is, there has to be studies done about that too. I mean, about, I mean,
I'm Charlie Bosco, I live at 4645 South Grand Road, first house north of Graff Chevrolet. I do appreciate the board's information output. This is the very first time, as close proximity as I am to this project. That's as much information as I've been able to garner from anybody or any entity. So I do appreciate you at least giving what you know. I would request, and I'm sure everybody here would like to have not only the impacted map, plat map, but also a copy of the information, the 5 or 6 page, for those who were not invited to the meeting. Secondarily, a $4 billion development has already, without a doubt, had impact studies done, had feasibility studies done. People don't go into a development of that nature and then do this in a year's time or later. Are you aware, confidentiality, confidential or not, that those impact studies have been done, and whom might we be able to get those from? The information, both wastewater, water, potable water, highway, and as was mentioned previously, but impact study demographically on how it affects the very close residences to this proposed project.
I cannot tell you for sure about the feasibility study. Water is, I just know at that meeting the other night, is when they had that meeting, Plant Moran was there, was the one that was talking, that's where AG,
Was there a name, I'm sorry, was that a name?
Plant Moran was the one who and he said that it would, the water studies and that would be done after the footprint was, for sure.
I just have a very difficult time even.
Well, there's nothing, I mean,
This is way further down the line than just we're going to do some things later. Not in this area of development, in this type of a price tag attached to this development.
Oh, you're important.
Things are much further along.
I'm not saying.
And for me as a public, I was just being left out.
Oh, well, I bet.
They
wanna buy all that.
were basically denying that they knew anything about it, right up to the point in time when
Did they make it all
produced
yet?
and produced, that they were listed as a buyer in the agreement. Again, I do appreciate the information you're giving to us directly, it's the most of us to receive. But
Double one.
you've got to understand as affected residents, they're just adding gas to the fire here, with the misinformation or lack of information going out to the general public.
What property is that?
we were, I mean, there was the county commissioner and me, even, and it was, we were told, we said, you need to tell people. We told them that night before the meeting started, and we've been telling them that since,
And telling whom
till the company.
the company. Well, the company's gonna come in and be our best friends, at least on.
So they get what they want.
Exactly, but the point being is that, the requirement of the citizens is that our boards give us the information as they're given. And I think, if I may speak to most of the crowd here, that not only have we not been given that information in any type of clarity or in any type of time frame, but it's almost been like, well, we know, but you don't know. And that's, I think, what basically is upsetting most of the residents around.
And I don't disagree with that. I mean, I really don't. Like I said, we have tried to do all we could to say is we need to tell people what's going on. Because, I mean, just fact that if you wanna sell or don't wanna sell, and the ones who do, they wanna know what it is. If they wanna know what it is, that's up to them on the options. And that's what we've been trying to tell them, you need to tell them.
In your understanding, is anybody here representing the company at this time?
Dr. William Foster. I own the Freeze Veterinary Clinic on the corner of Newburgh and Wilford Road. I live at 10240 Monroe Road, which is a half a mile southeast of the proposed project. I just want to ask the board just a couple questions. Do you adhere to the Shiawassee County Master Plan when you're doing your development? Yes. I read through this. I downloaded and read through it today. And I got two major bullet points out of this, and if you'll agree with me. The number one purpose of the master plan is to protect the agricultural identity of Shiawassee County. Yes or no?
Correct.
That's correct. Okay. Two, the other main bullet point was citizen input and transparency. Now, I'll read you the future land use plan education, which is one of the last points on here. It says citizen involvement and support will be necessary as plans are implemented. Local officials should constantly strive to develop procedures which make citizens more aware of the planning process and the day-to-day decision-making which affects implementation of the plan. A continuous program of discussion, education, and participation will be extremely important as the county moves forward toward the realization of the goals and objectives. And to me, both of these points have been violated.
Yes.
And I am extremely upset. My family's been here for over 100 years. And I'm looking at this thing in my front yard, and I need to make a decision now. Do I need to sell, close my business, and move away? Because I'm not gonna live with that 1.5 by 3/4 mile building in my front yard, literally. I'm not gonna do it. And I will leave if I have to, but I need the information. I need some kind of guidance, and that's what I think the government is here to help us. I mean, you guys are in charge of this development, and I need to make a decision, and I'm very upset. I've lost a lot of sleep over this, just because of, and I'm not bad at you're my friend, you're my neighbor. We're your neighbor. We're all neighbors and friends here. You know, I've taken care of your dogs and cats, my grandfather, my grandma's side of the family dug Shank's gravel pit. That's where Leisure Lake is. This has been my whole life. My wife and I lived in Port Huron. We moved here back here in 2000. We made a decision to build our business here and keep on with what small town America is. And I'm very upset, and I just want to tell the board that I am not in favor of this.
Well,
Very upset for,
I
very upset.
understand. Remember, we don't control it.
I know you don't.
Okay, also that is the county master use plan,
But you said that you go abide by it.
the city. And that would
Okay.
we go into the city.
Okay.
I mean, that's.
But they're saying we don't know anything, and so that's why I'm mad, because
But it's not city property yet.
it's not city property yet,
Right.
yeah.
Right, I agree, but the options are with the city. If the property gets sold, the options go with the city.
So in other
Yes,
words, everybody
yes.
stick together, don't sell their property.
That's right.
If the options get, they just can't annex your property into the city. That property is not, law doesn't state it could be done that way. I mean, vacant lands is a different story, but vacant land, if it has even easement on or railroad, cannot be annexed directly into the city.
Why would they even put that across from the middle school and the soccer field?
And where the well is for the city of Durant, right there.
They'll tell you where the water's coming from. I was at the Sheridan meeting, okay, at the real estate, they will not tell you where they're gonna get their water.
Suck it right out of the ground.
And we all have shallow wells.
Okay,
All shallow
okay,
wells.
we're going to do this organized, we're not going to start stuff, we're not gonna do this, okay? We'll go and deal on stuff, go ahead,
Near him.
you.
My name's Steve Lynn, I live at 4088 Brown Road. If nobody's seen the option agreement, this company's basically gonna buy this land and give it to the city of Durant. And what I wanna know from you is why you, on this board, isn't trying to say something or stop this as far as you're giving up all this tax base, this Vernon Township tax base, and what are you getting in return? All of us are getting in return.
No.
City administrator sat up there and said, all this is gonna do is help the city of Durant and ease the tax burden for them. And you're gonna take taxes out of this Vernon Township by doing this. And I don't see no agreement in this with Vernon Township listed in this with the city of Durant. If everybody in the affected area signed this option, it's going in, I'm telling you. And right now, there's people that aren't gonna sign it.
Okay,
That's what bothers me, is you're so willing, or somebody's willing to give up all this land.
Agricultural.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, the option is up to the person who sells the property. Now, if you're gonna say is, do you want us to tell you how to
No.
run your property?
No, you should
Exactly.
be in the negotiations with the city of Durant that you get revenue sharing.
I already told you that at Sheridan meeting that we have been talked about.
We
But-
talked about
But we
it.
can't do anything because this hasn't been put to the board yet as an open agenda.
It's too late, because this agreement's with the city of Durant, not Vernon Township.
No.
That's
but
scary.
the trouble is, the property, like I told you, cannot go into the city that way.
Well, let me tell you, the way it reads on that paper, it sure does.
Well, the option is with the city. I agree with that. That's what it says.
You've seen it.
I know what it says.
Yeah.
But that does not necessarily, that doesn't allow the property to go into the city.
Guess I'm reading
City,
it
city
wrong.
owns,
They
you
own it,
know
though,
where
they
the
can do
wells
what they
are
want
at,
with
the
it.
100 and some acres, that's city property. They own that. That's.
But when we
that's
sign the
township.
option, Bert, we're entering into an agreement with the city of Durant.
Right, but doesn't change where you're located. Still be in the township.
Well, we all remember years back, they tried to annex all that out there.
Yeah.
So that still plays into my head.
Okay, just to bring a little calm. So there's multiple locations and so far we don't fit.
Where their proposal
That's what you
was.
said. We don't fit so far.
It doesn't fit the size of the footprint they're looking at.
But they have multiple locations between Flint and Lansing, you said.
No, I did not say that.
Okay,
Said
you said somewhere between Flint and Lansing.
what they were looking for. And this is one of the reasons why.
Are there more than one location that they're looking at, or is there only one?
My understanding, no. There's this only one.
Not in the state of Michigan. There's other locations they can go to, but not in the state of Michigan, it's their footprint profile.
It's Robert Holt, I live on Vernon Road. You talked about 800 jobs. Are these 800 construction jobs temporary till the place is built? Is this 800 local jobs? Are these 800 jobs that are gonna be filled with people from Ohio or wherever? What are these 800 jobs?
The 800 jobs after the plant is running. They're full-time jobs. They're looking at local residents to start with. If they can get people to fill.
But not necessarily.
Well, I mean,
I've seen those plans before. We have so many jobs.
They're looking
When
at-
it comes down to it, they're temporary construction jobs.
The construction jobs aren't these 800
Are
jobs.
even in-
These are like, I believe he said at the meeting, they were looking like 1,000 or more construction people.
And that's aside from the 800.
That's, yeah, the 800 is the full-time job when the plant is in full.
And do you know if this is gonna be a railroad-based company or a truck-based company? Both? So there's gonna be, since on 71 in Durand is the entrance exit to 69, so we can figure there's gonna be semis going right down.
Well, they've talked also to have their own access off 69.
Oh, so they're gonna have their own entrance and exit right on 69. How about train? Same way in train, they're gonna have their own train yard?
They're gonna have, well, the train goes right through the property now. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons they're looking at the rail.
I'd just like to say, I don't know anything about this particular project, I have no insight on the project itself. I have worked on strategic planning at General Motors on other plant issues or potential plants, okay? And what you gotta recognize is, this is in the early phase of their process. When you talk about somebody pulling a program together that's gonna get $4 to $5 billion in support, yes, there has been a lot of work done up to this point. But that work up to this point is to prove the concept of whatever it is they're trying to build is good and appropriate, and you can be sure it won't be like any other plant that's currently out there doing the same thing. Because if it's steel, and I don't know that, but if it's steel, the steel industry in the United States is bankrupt.
So is it a foreign company?
It puts out a lot of emissions. We cannot be cost competitive because other countries don't care about emissions, and so they can do it with lower labor costs. And as I'm sure you're aware, steel is pretty strategic to the survival of the USA. And so I know there's some efforts to try to figure out how can you build steel plants in the USA that are cost competitive and do meet the new low emission standards, which are less than half of what they used to be. Okay? So I'm sure the team's been working on this, is focusing on those kinds of things. Now, as they approach the point of, confirming financial backing, and believe me, you don't go to your local bank and ask for $5 billion. It's a big, big deal. Typically, now Bert has indicated it might not be the case here, and I don't know. Typically, a company will be looking at least 2 different sites. They'll do their demographics, they'll figure out what kind of supplies they have to have, what kind of labor force they have to have, all those kind of things. They'll do demographics across the USA, try to find out the locations that have the best potential of being successful. And then their next step is, when they sort it down to 1 or 2, then they gotta find out, what works in that area. And before they can go and get all the things that we would like to know about roads and governmental approvals and all that, they do have to have, as Bert has indicated, the footprint. They gotta buy options of the land, so if this goes, that they know that they can get the land to build a plant, okay? And if they can't get that, then quite frankly, they'll have to move somewhere else. But you gotta recognize, a $5 billion plant is huge. General Motors is worth about $50 billion. So this is an effort that's about 1/10 the size of General Motors. And if it's being located near here, that could significantly change the area. If you get in on the ground floor of that, if the community planning works with the company planning, so that you grow both the plant and the community, there's a lot of opportunity. But all your questions, I understand them, they're very important to you as an individual, but they're early, because they really can't answer those things until they really confirm, 1, what locations will work. They gotta have a footprint to do that, and they gotta, quite frankly, get $5 billion worth of money to back it. Thank you.
Brian?
Everybody knows what it's like to go through Durant, through railroad tracks as it is. Can you imagine what it'd be like if something like that came through here? There'd be trains going through here 24/7. You don't have no regulations on them, but how long they can sit in the middle of the road. And I don't like it. I don't like to sit 45 minutes for me to go back and forth, back and forth. And it'd be 10 times that now.
Yeah, I live at 10067 Monroe Road, just east of Grand. I'm assuming if this thing has gone as far as it has, that there's a commitment for this company that the zoning will change. This zoning is a big deal. We're going from the lowest agricultural zoning to the very highest, worst level of zoning you can have. The man with Second Chance Wood was coming out here to Durand, and he's not anymore. There's something real fishy going on with that. All of a sudden, he's out of the picture, gone. He's not big enough. And if we wanted to live around that kind of a thing, we would all be somewhere else right now, living around the factory. We don't want that. We never have wanted that. And as you drive around and look at all these factories, the lifestyle around these factories, within 2 or 3 miles of these factories, isn't anything that anybody here wants to be a part of, including you.
That's right.
You're too close. And it seems to me that of all the other zoning and agreements that have been put forth with the city and the township, that they've always come to loggerheads and never been able to make a deal on other things. Why all of a sudden is this gonna happen and the township can't take a stand on. I don't see the township taking a stand. I don't get that feeling that there's a stance here that you are for or against this thing and have any power to, I mean, this zoning thing is huge, Bert. They've got a commitment that this zoning is gonna change. It's probably a done deal, and by the time that people like you are able to tell us, what's going on, it's done. It'll never be nighttime at my house.
Can I answer the question about you saying where they're at and the studies or stuff? I can't. Like I said, and the fact that some of the city new administration with the new city manager, I don't care what your opinion is of her. I've talked to her more times than I talked to the old one in 10 years about, things going on with this project and, revenue sharing.
This city manager will be here this year, and she'll be gone next year.
I cannot, I'm not gonna say what's going on, cause I wasn't there, and I know I hear what the city said. You're here to talk to us, that's what we're gonna do. I don't care what happens. Okay?
My name is Missy Walworth. I live at 6733 South Byron Road. And I have moved here from Porter County, Indiana. I worked at a mini steel factory in Porter County. I had to live 30 miles away and it was still dirty and smelly, filthy. You'd walk outside and everything was covered with soot. And that was just in the year 2000. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, 17 years, but not that long ago. I moved here to Shiawassee County to raise my kids in a small country setting, not to be back next to a plant or a steel mill or anything else. And it's gonna affect me out on Byron Road, just like it's gonna affect the folks on Brown Road. And as this gentleman said, the things that are gonna develop up around it are things you don't want around. Believe me, I lived there for 10 years. Don't wanna deal with it ever again. So I need to know if I need to start selling my house now. Because once that's put in, our property values are not gonna be what they are now. We are gonna have trouble selling our homes. The only people that are gonna buy our homes are the people that wanna work in the mill, or factory, or plant, or whatever it is you wanna call it. It is not worth it to me to stay in Shiawassee County, a place where I devoted to raise my children, and raise my grandchildren, and live here for the rest of my life. I need to know now, so I can sell my house.
Anybody else?
My name is Gilbert Spillers. I live at 10479 Bennington Road, right close to Brown Road. Do you have a copy of that footprint that we can get tonight?
No, I do not.